Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming to Business Inspirations. It is Tuesday, and we have a fabulous guest today. And we are so excited to have Darren LaCroix. That's right, our own very special Darren LaCroix from Stage Time University, right here on Business Inspirations. So, welcome, Darren. So happy to see you.
Hey, Dana, thanks for having me. If anyone hasn't noticed, right back here, I'm a Dana fan.
Yay.
It's out
And
there.
that
It's out there. You got to be truthful. Some people aren't willing to admit it, but I am. So,
Oh, well, and I am honored that you are a Dana fan. Um, I'm pretty excited about being a Dana fan of Darren LaCroix because I am a big Darren LaCroix fan. So happy that you're here and that you're my guest. And yay! So we only have 25 minutes, so I'm gonna just hop right into it. But we need to know, how are you doing? How's your family? How's business? What's the story? What's going on?
I'm great. It's for everyone. It's been obviously crazy, and it's forcing us to use improv in a real life situation, which thank God. So I'm doing great. It's been a long summer. And as you know, I've been forced, that I teach virtual presentations. So I've been forced to upgrade my background, my lighting, my sound, blah, blah, blah. Mom and dad are been married 65 years, which is unbelievable. They still hold
Wow.
hands. It's adorable. Uh, Mom and dad, though, mom's having some health challenges, but hey, it's life. We've all got to deal with it, and I'm thankful each day. So, and I just did a Dana, I think I just did a speech, first time kind of speech that my sister asked me to be her wedding celebrant. My sister got married, and that I was Dana. I went back to the 1990s, just like you and I were talking earlier. I was nervous. This is my family. They don't care that I won any speech. I was literally shaking. I had a
Oh,
portfolio. I had to pull it in so no one could notice it shaking. I was like, what is going on here? I haven't felt like this since the 90s. But I was glad. Thank goodness for my preparation. I'm writing an article that goes out today, as a matter of fact, about what I learned from the experience. But anyway, so that's the long or short of it.
and I think for me, if there's people going to be watching that I care about, that that really, I mean, I care about people, absolutely in general. But if I know that that person is like a mentor or someone that I really want them to say she's doing well, that's when I get a little like, yeah, so a little crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it. And not only that, it wasn't my subject. And one of the things, knowing me, like when I'm in my lane, when I'm in my subject, I know it. I've been doing it for 20 years. I can grasp stories from everywhere. But here's a script that I got to follow that I didn't necessarily write because I got to follow the structure. So both of those things. Dana, I'll tell you this too. I did some hosting at my church where I would just be the person who welcomed and the person who said goodbye at the end. I basically got fired because I can't follow a script. When you get fired from a church, like, and it's what I do for a living, it was crazy. But I had, I said, you know what, this doesn't work for me, and it's sad. And people would think, oh, it's easy, just go up there. But when I got to go word for word something, I suck.
It's hard, but I'm going to guess that that church fired you in a very sweet way.
Well,
Although knowing Vince, he probably gave you the boot. Yeah,
that wasn't good. It was.
yeah.
He was.
That's so cute. Oh no. Oh dear. So so we've been in this crazy COVID lockdown virtualness for 9, almost 10 months now, something to that effect. And um, do you see what are you feeling when you talk to other business owners? What are you feeling and seeing that's going to be like coming up in the do you see a future that is bright and sunny for business owners and entrepreneurs during this time?
I love this quote by Mark Sanborn. Brilliant. He said, respond to the newfound pain. And I think the businesses that do are actually going to thrive. For those of us who are speakers, if we're not, I hate to use the word because it's overused, but if we're not pivoting, uh, we're going to be poor. You can go from pivot, you can pivot or you can be poor. And you got two choices. But it's also how you pivot, and it's also redefining why you're doing, who you're serving, and how you're helping. I mean, all these businesses going out of business, and Amazon is killing it. They're in Vegas where I live, they're looking for more employees. So I think it's that ability to step back, which is critical in a time like this, to what am I really trying to do? Who am I really trying to help? And here's the important question: how can I help them? How can I help them? And we always hear too, in times like this, it's like, cut back on advertising. Well, if you cut back on advertising now, you're going to be irrelevant when you come out the other side of this. So I think a lot of speakers have realized they got to not only embrace virtual, they got to kick butt on virtual. And some of my quote unquote entertaining keynote friends, they're unbelievably struggling right now, because when we come back to live events, they want them, but they've postponed it because in their mind, that's what they do. They're entertaining, as opposed to like me and you, like we're trainers, we're coaches, we help people. So now it's just changing the modality. So I think for businesses, it's literally stepping back and saying, okay, what do they need? How can I help them? And if you don't reevaluate, if you don't take inventory, like one of my quotes is, old school me needs a little new school, or you're going to be out of school. So,
Okay.
I'm a big fan of be a sponge.
Yes, yes.
So I would say take some time to study, learn, see what other people are doing in your industry. That's got to be a critical part of how you get through this, is seeing what other people are doing, seeing what's working, and then discerning through the BS that's out there.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of that too. Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of what we are doing now, and what you and I are doing specifically right now, and that is connecting virtually. So I miss coming out to Las Vegas. I miss being with you and having fun at those live events. I miss that terribly. Comma, I feel like I'm actually having a real conversation with you, and that I'm not. I mean, sure, there's some of it that we miss, but I feel like I'm really connecting with you. So, what do you see? What's the biggest mistake that people make when they are attempting to do this, and somehow it's just a fail? What are they really making a mistake at?
Oh, in the speaking business, there's a woman named Jennifer Joseph Lear. She's a person who literally books speakers, and she said they're booking as many as we used to, but at a lower fee. So the business is still out there. But here's what she said. And this is for anybody in any business who's trying to connect virtually, not just speakers, but speakers are the worst. And she said, you can't just turn on Zoom and tell your stories and expect that we're going to connect with people. That's kind of a paraphrase, but she just said, you can't just turn on your computer and tell the same stories the way you've always done it. And I think that's the thing. It's like going back to what I'm saying, study. What do people say? What are people doing that are working? Be a sponge again, because people aren't finding those ways to re-engage. To one of the things, Dana, we teach is called changing the pace elements. So if I had to go back to live, I would say you got to change the pace elements every 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
And now on virtual, you got to change the pace elements every 2 to 3 minutes. And what I mean by a pace element is like asking the audience a question, because it engages their brain in a different way. Then you might tell a story. Then you might show a video, but it's not any one of them. It's literally moving one to another, then to another, then to another. So, Dana, too, and we do our all-day trainings to keep an audience engaged, even if it's content they want all day, is challenging. So even if I'm doing a 90-minute program, I usually have a co-host, Mark Brown, Ed Tate, somebody else, because two experts, because now you're changing pace elements when one of them talks. And
Yeah.
different because we hear the voice differently, we see a different visual, we see a different face, and that's continuing to do that. So understanding the call to action at the end is still critical. What do you want them to do? And base your presentation or your conversation around, what do I want them to do?
Yeah. And also, so would you also suggest, like using polls or on Zoom, because you can take polls, you can ask people to add things to the chat, just is that part of that, the pace element that you're talking about?
It's definitely part of it, but we can't just look at the medium. We go
Yeah.
back to, what are we trying to do? So, for example, uh, taking a poll is good, but if it's not a purposeful poll, there's a new one. If it's not a purposeful poll, it's, what are you trying to get us to think? A lot of people miss that part of a presentation. The most important part of a presentation is the thought process in the listener's mind. So, for example, don't have them take a poll for the sake of changing a pace element. What do you want the poll's outcome to be in the mind of the audience? So, one of the questions I ask is, what I take a poll, what's the most important part of a presentation? And I make it multiple choice. The answers I hear all the time: your opening, your closing, your message, the audience. And then I put other. No one, unless they've ever heard me present, have ever chosen other. If they've heard me present, they know where I'm going with this, and they choose other. Because, but here's the psychology behind it. Here's what they think. My goal of my presentation is to shift and give them a new perspective, that they don't know it all, that there's more insights they need, there's more help they need. And so after I reveal that the other is the most important part of a presentation, is a thought process in the listener's mind, my goal is they say, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Maybe I should listen. So I do it about 25% into my presentation. So it's all strategic. So
Yes.
don't do a poll. Don't just have them type into the chat for the sake of typing into the chat. Have a reason.
So here we are. Okay, so we're going to change the pace, we're going to make things fabulous and wonderful. How do we look like a pro without spending a bazillion bucks when we're sitting here on Zoom?
Well,
Or is it possible?
no, it's very possible. Can we see you? Can we hear you? And if you don't know, record yourself and look at yourself. Ask your friends. So I have the light kit that I have in front of me. It's called Neewer, Neewer. I got it on Amazon for 150 bucks. It's two lights. Like, don't overcomplicate it. Now, if 150 bucks is too much, look, this is your business. This is what you do. But if you really can't, and I get right now people are out of work and they're trying to make this work, Dane, I have this, which is a simple lamp. So it's a gooseneck lamp. It was like $29 at an electronics store. I'm sure you can find it at Amazon. And what it has, three different settings, three different light settings. And I could literally like shut off my fancy lights. Well, one of them I'd have to get up to do, but anyway. So I could have this just off screen and have two of these on either side, and it would be pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's 29 bucks. So you got to look at your environment and try things around, try them at a different height. Is it better up here? Is it, you can tell obviously it's different just where I hold it. So find the place that works. And look, you got to get a decent microphone. It flipping pains me seeing these people on like the major networks, NBC, CBS, and they're wearing like earbuds. I'm like, really? Like, that's better than a horrible microphone? But the one that I usually use is my backup is the AT 2020, Audio Technica 2020 USB. It's a solid mic. I use it for years. I take it with me when I go on the road when I don't bring my professional setup, but it's like $150. Mark Brown uses a Yeti Blue. A lot of my friends use a Yeti Blue. That's what Ford uses, is Yeti Blue. That's like $160 or $70. And it just plugs into your computer. And then you've got to know. So here's another thing, proximity. I used to make fun of people who wore the headphones and had the big mic. It's like, really, you're trying to look like a newscaster, but take a listen to this. If I just move it just out of camera, you don't get that deep resonation of connection as opposed to when I have it right here. And that's the effect is called the proximity effect. So a lot of people miss that. And so it's simple things. I had, just like I said, I had to go learn this. Like, really, that matters? And then I would just do a test. That's the cool thing, is do a test.
It does make a big difference on how you look professional, or just seeing you at all.
And I'm a fan of even like 2 of those little gooseneck lamps, but put them on either side of you, close, but angled in. That way you're not looking right into the light. You know, I know a lot of people buy those ring lights because it's right around the camera. Oh, how cool. Yeah, well, if you look at any of them, whether they have glasses or even in their eyeballs, you see the little ring light in their eyeballs. So
yes,
personally, I'm not a fan. It's better than not having a light, but like, what are you, a demon possessed? Like,
I know. This is why it's over here, not plugged in right now, because it's good for certain things, but not for this. And so where I'm sitting, this is my office, my home office, and I have a lovely window. So when I'm not live on Zoom, I drop the blind because I like seeing outside. Occasionally a pronghorn walks right by. Yay. But when I'm on Zoom, I put the blind up because otherwise it's just too bright. And so you can look like a pro and not spend a bunch of money. And as you make money, then you can start looking more and more like a pro with a little extra. Okay, now a big question for you. What?
Just for everyone, audio is more important than video, because I'll excuse if you're a little blurred, but if I can't hear you or you don't have that depth of the voice, I'm not going to feel connected. And then again, you have to train yourself. Okay, here's where we're really opening up. This is Zoe.
Hi, Zoe.
Notice there's a little hole. So train yourself to look at the camera. So I can put this literally right over the camera, and it reminds me to make eye contact, as Mark Brown says, with your friends behind the lens. Because if you're looking down at everybody else, we're seeing the top of your head. We're only going to feel a connection when you're looking into the lens. Dana?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much. And it's really difficult. I have lots of people that I talk to that have, the 2 monitors, and our delightful friend Ford Six does this occasionally, that you're looking at the side of his head. He's talking to this screen over here, and not that the side of his head is not just overly attractive, but it would be better to connect with Ford, although I'm not real sure even through the camera he could zap you really good, so we have to be careful of that. So yeah, and I tell people all the time, look at the camera, and it's hard because I want to see you.
Yeah, you got to train yourself.
Yeah, it is a tough thing to break. So here's question of the century that I think you know how to answer it. What do you do with perfectionists? I can't do it yet because I don't have that right microphone. I don't have the good camera. I don't know if I'm doing this right. What do you say, Darren, my friend, to those folks?
It's a Boston term.
Tell us.
Shut up.
Wait a minute. Let me write that down. Shut up. Okay.
Up. And it's not just you, it's that voice in your brain. In this industry, and especially going through this craziness, there are many poor perfectionists. And you can't improve the version you have without version 1.0. You can't get the 2.0 without 1.0. So maybe I'm not saying look unprofessional. I'm saying put together version 1.0 and get it to trusted friends who will tell you the truth, not people who are going to pat you on the back or the head. Like give it to try and then make an adjustment and then make an adjustment and then make it and then release it to the real world. But there are so many people out there, and this breaks my heart that they have messages and stories and books inside them and they just stop. They're afraid. Look, I get it. I'm just the opposite. I get it out there. I literally got a Facebook message today that I did this critique on the 2020 World Championship of Public Speaking, and one of the contestants, I spelt his name wrong. Like that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and I fixed it, and there you go. So we got to just get it out there. Now, I've had to learn that I need an editor to look at it, or I look like a chucklehead, which I am because I'm dyslexic. But so I have a process in place, and there's still some errors once in a while. But done is more profitable than perfect. Done is more profitable than perfect. And then go and adjust it and make it another one. Like you've seen my Facebook videos when I'm showing people a studio. Like a few weeks ago, that blue light around the sign wasn't there. And before that, that monitor wasn't over my shoulder. And before that, the coach's chair. But every week I've been, what can I do? What can I do? Till finally I'm like, okay, now, unless I have a brilliant idea, like get back to helping people and making money.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what I wanted to hear, because I'm going to make a cross stitch. Done is better than perfect. That's going to be a cross stitch. Absolutely. I think it's important to invite people to know that you don't have to be perfect. That because people, I think, see, people may be watching you now and they're like, well, look at your great background and look how professional you are. And wow, I could never be that great. Well, first off, be you. You don't be Darren. Darren's already taken, so don't try to be Darren. Be a great you, but don't try to be a perfect you. And I think you would admit that you're not a perfect person yet, and that you're still charging towards that line. But that everybody has a story. Everybody has something to share that can benefit people, and if they wait for perfection, then they're cheating people out of that.
Dana, check this out.
I'm checking.
All right. So this is me a few years ago.
Yeah, I know that. I know that person.
And then people said the background was distracting. And I thought, this is cool. If you're standing in my office, it was this big, beautiful plaque that was given to me as a gift. And that's the tie I was wearing when I won the championship. If you're standing here, it's cool. Somebody, a meeting planner in Milan, Italy said, what's that behind you? And I'm like, is there a spider? What? Because I knew what it was. So I needed that feedback. And then I got the sign, but then I look like, Caucasian boy in front of beige, like it doesn't work. And people ask me like, what's up with the flowers? I was like, but that's my brand color, orange. I was like, see what I did there? And they're like, what the flip? Why do you have flowers? Now, granted, they're fake flowers. I'm not going to keep them alive. And so I realized I had to do something. And so, and as a commitment phobe, I didn't want to paint, but I'm like, okay, I got to paint. So I took the time. This is my office. This is my business. And just to make this work, I painted it blue. I tried blue curtains because I didn't want to commit. And Ford made fun of me. Stephanie made fun of me. And then finally, I'm like, okay, now anyway, so it was a fair amount of work, but look, this is your business. This is your message. This is your background. The cool thing is I don't have to build a new house. I got 10 feet in my house behind me. That's all I have to worry about, So anyway, my point is it's just one step at a time. And, people see the end result, but they don't see the process behind it.
Yeah.
They didn't see the in my carpet that then I had to call Stormy and like, Stormy, how do I get this out of my carpet? So, again, it's just progress. Those are the newer lights that I was talking about.
Oh yeah. Very cool.
What's cool is they have white lights and amber lights so you can adjust them.
Oh, cool.
Flush.
Yeah. Nice.
Ghost type of people. So.
Oh, You had the little head thing on. That was so fun. That was back when it was fun. I love it. Oh, well, that was so wonderful. Thank you so much, Darren. I think we could probably help our listeners uh, for another hour and a half, but I don't think I have time, you have time, and I don't think they have time. But why don't we give them some information that if they want to somehow reach out to you and ask you some questions, DarrenLaCroix.com, that go there first. You can contact them through there. And then here's an 800 number if you want to ask some questions and see if you can get some stage time or mic time with Darren. And so be sure to reach out to Darren. Darren is probably one of the most kind and giving people in the world. He's super busy, so don't be disappointed if you don't get a lot of time. But thank you, Darren, for being here. Thank you for being a good friend to me and to so many people. For those who may not know Darren, which you live under a rock if you don't, Darren, he is a speaker extraordinaire, world champion of public speaking in Toastmasters, a certified public speaker in NSA, National Speaker Association. You've accredited speaker also in Toastmasters. Is that right?
Yep.
So you're like the dude with speaking. So for me, there's no doubt about who you are for speaking, but you are also the dude to help us be better at presentation, even if it's just a Zoom meeting. If you're never going to be, a platform keynote entertaining speaker for an event, you still need to know how to present yourself. And Darren is absolutely the expert on that. And I really appreciate your time. There's my information down at the bottom. If I can ever be of service to anyone out there, please give me a call, email, reach out through my Facebook page, website, and I will be more than happy to see what we can do. So Darren, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Darren. Have a great day. And we really appreciate your time.